Blusmart is about doing things very simply. Clean car, on time. Clean car, on time. That's it. You can repeat our mission now.
Clean cars on time.
Absolutely.
But our brand promise is if you book a Blu Smart, you'll get it.
Blu Smart is not just a ride-hailing service, but is also building EV charging infrastructure.
We came into this business with open eyes that we are going to be faced by two large competitors. Market size is so big and all stakeholders are unhappy. Customers, driver partners and the platforms. That means disruption will surely happen in that sector.
It's not the car, it's the algorithm. It's going to be whole EV revolution all across the country, and Blu Smart, I believe, would become synonymous with EVs at some point. Hi Anmol, welcome to Runway Miles with Simran. Today we're in conversation with Mr. Anmol Jaggi, who is the co-founder and CEO of Blusmart Mobility. Blusmart Mobility is the story of a coming-of-age EV ride-hailing platform. We're very excited to be with Mr. Jaggi today, and we hope to dive into this marvelous piece that they're creating. So, to begin with, your Blusmart Mobility, the venture is essentially a premium take on ride-hailing. It's not, you weren't trying to make an affordable segment, but you were really trying to give an elevated experience to your customers. Is that right?
Partially right. So it's not that we didn't want to be affordable. We are extremely affordable. And when it comes to competition, our pricing is attractive. The best thing, what we wanted to start Blusmart is, of course, we did not want a cheap competitor to what were the existing players. What we wanted was a differentiated service experience. It was not our thought that try to get customers on cost. It was always our thought that try to get customers on service. And that's what we tried for. And we've been able to do it to some level. We have gained some traction. To put it in numbers, today about 600,000 people use our services on a monthly basis. We have about 5,000 cars as we speak. So it's been a good journey. But the whole idea was never about competing on price. The whole idea was always to compete on elevated services.
Sure. So I've personally been a consumer of Blusmart.
I heard you came here on a Blusmart.
I came here in a Blusmart. In fact, Blusmart's a part of my to and fro to my office. You know, while I understand that you guys are a ride-hailing service, there's definitely a consumer pain point in this category. But what is most important is, for a lot of people, commute is the first service they avail in the morning.
Right.
And when that service goes wrong, sir, it's yes, and you know, it sets your tone off for the whole day, which is why it's so important and so critical that your commute is sorted. That is something, you know, employees and new age working population is seeking to achieve. And you guys have been, you know, dimensional in this category, and y'all have really elevated the experience. How does it feel to be a part of so many working class people and their everyday the first actionable item of the day?
It's a lot of responsibility, extreme level of responsibility. I keep telling our team that, guys, if you do something wrong, today 10,000 people will reach late to their office. Or in the evening, 10,000 fathers or mothers will see their children late because of a cab getting delayed, cab getting cancelled. So it's actually, Blusmart is about doing things very simply. Just ensure a clean car comes to you every day on time. That's it. That's what the customer needs, and that's what our entire operations team is just working to do. Clean car on time, clean car on time. Just keep repeating it millions and millions and millions of times, and that's what we actually do. There's no kind of deep secret sauce amongst what we are trying to build. Simple stuff, clean car on time, clean car on time. That's it.
So because you mentioned clean car, and you know, you said how Blusmart cars are always clean, and how you all ensure that is while the cars are charging, because you operate an all EV fleet, while the cars are charging, there's cleaning staff present where the charging happens, and that's when the cars get clean, which is a very effective way of, I think, streamlining your operation. And you all have, I guess, cracked how to make sure the car is on time and it's clean at the same time. How would you say you can better your operations, and what would you say are some challenges you still continue to face?
Yep. So I think on time, a lot of credit for on time also goes to our tech team. The algorithm that they run, it's a super complex algorithm because what we are trying to run is an all EV fleet. All EV fleet has constraints around the battery that the car is carrying. So we cannot deliver to you a car which does not have enough battery to service your trip. And we have to also take all kind of eventualities into consideration. There might be rain, there might be a traffic jam, there might be red light, there might be a VIP movement, etc., etc., etc. And based on that, we should still have the charge to deliver your trip to you. Not just to deliver the trip to you, but also for the driver partner to reach to the relevant charging station. So it's a super complex algorithm which is running. In fact, we are most proud of building that algorithm, which we believe is going to be a single largest moat for us.
Right.
Because today, any ride-hailing company across the globe is always assuming that there is enough fuel in the car.
Right.
Whereas with electric, you cannot assume that there is enough fuel in the car. So on time, a lot of the credit also goes to the tech which is there. Because the tech dispatches the vehicle at the right time. They're able to accurately map the time it's going to take to reach you with eventualities. The battery is there, etc., etc. So it's a lot of brains which have written those algorithms, and we try to improve those algorithms every day to ensure that we reach on time. Coming to the challenges that we are facing, I think the challenges are more outward facing than inward facing for us. Outward facing challenges are around availability of charging infrastructure. Outward challenges are around availability of cars. So there are more ecosystem challenges, if I can say, rather than there are challenges which are more internal to Blusmart. Of course, at Blusmart there are challenges around scaling up faster. Lot of people, lot of our investors, lot of our friends have always kept on telling me, Anmol, at scale, how will you maintain these operations? I've been hearing since we were at 100 cars, now we are at 5,000. Maybe people will continue to tell us when we are at 50,000 cars. I think the whole idea is how do we build the culture of clean cars on time. And I think the biggest challenge that I would say is for me is to have that culture ingrained in every driver partner, every hub staff that we have, and even the corporate team that we have.
Right.
So I think for me, my job is absolutely cut, which is create that culture where customer service is what each one of us breathes. So I would not say that's a challenge, but that's something that I always want to do every day of my life.
Right. So when you talk of process and how critical an internal process is to an organization, we often speak of Six Sigma as a metric of looking at how someone has cracked a process in an organization. So what do you think when you scale up and when you expand, what do you want y'all to be known for?
Of course, Six Sigma is great. But I would say we would actually try to be at zero error. Six Sigma still allows you some error.
Right.
We would want to be at absolute zero.
Sure.
I think we are very happy that on the customer service side, the proof lies in what our App Store rating is. Our App Store rating is 4.9. It's been 4.9 since day one that we started. We have now about close to 2 million downloads. Put the iOS store and the Android store put together, I think we have more than 60,000 reviews which are there. So there is a lot of people who are giving instant feedback to us.
Right.
And after every trip, there is a feedback which is taken. So from that perspective, I think I would want that we should be hitting like 100 on 100. And not on 99. The team's aim is not to score 99 on 100 when it comes to customer service. We want to aim 100 on 100. So let's try for that. And I think operationally speaking, is it challenging? Yes, it is challenging. But the whole thing is that if everybody's heart beats for this mission, then we will be able to accomplish it. So every driver partner's heart should beat for the mission. Now you can repeat our mission now.
Clean cars on time.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Clean cars on time.
No, love that. And, like you mentioned, it has to be every driver's heartbeat. But in a service business, what becomes very critical is that you can have an algorithm, you can have processes, but at the end of the day, the customer is going to be face to face with your service partners. So let's say a service business reputation is inextricably linked to its service providers, which are drivers in your case. So how do you ensure that your drivers live up to your brand's reputation?
So, see, we first try to analyze what does the driver think. Now, driver is a very simple human being. They have simple needs. They want to take care of their family. They want their kids to go to a good school. They want enough food on their plate. Very simple stuff. What was missing in the ecosystem was that driver partners were being asked to finance these cars. Now, when a driver partner who basically comes from the bottom of the pyramid, you ask them to finance an asset which is 8 lakh, 10 lakh rupees, it provides a lot of financial burden onto that human being. They mortgage their land in the village. They come to cities. They try to take debt at 18% interest, 20% interest. And then something goes wrong, like what COVID went wrong or some other things go wrong. They literally just go bankrupt. There's no safety net which is there for the driver partners. What we tried to do was very simple. We said, financing is the job of large corporates. Financing is not the job of a driver partner.
Absolutely.
So we got the largest of the DFIs, PSU financial institutions to come and give us a lot of money to lease out these EV assets. And our driver partner does not own an EV asset. They just come to drive. That's what is their ability. The ability of the driver partner is to give you time, is to drive safely. So you want to milk out that ability. Driver partners' simple needs. They want to earn between 6,000 and 8,000 every week. So if a Blu Smart driver partner is working for 60 hours a week, does A amount of trips and B amount of revenue, they will earn between that. And they know that that money will come to them on time. So Wednesdays are our payout days to the driver partner. Every Wednesday, the driver partners get paid out. Wednesday, end of day, they will have the money that they have earned in the previous week credited to their account. By the way, because we touched the topic of your trip, I would say 51% of our consumers is women.
Yes.
51% of our consumers is women. Women between age 25 to 35 is the largest single cohort of users that we have.
Right.
So extremely
and also single moms, as you mentioned.
A lot of moms, a huge amount of moms that are there. That's our favorite cohort.
Right.
In fact, we launched a lot of features for them.
Right.
So one are rentals for schools. Right. Multi-stop trips where they can just, maybe pick up kids, drop kids, do a small errand on the way to office while coming back from the office.
Right.
So it was a lot of customer feedback that we were getting from this cohort of what we call as young moms. And that's a very interesting, that's a really large population of our users.
So I think from what you just mentioned, what I see is a lot of reverse engineering that you guys have done at Blu Smart to see what is the pain point that drivers face and streamlining payment process for them, for that matter, simplifying the leasing of the cars. What I see, sir, is, you've even, for that matter, looked at a lot of data that you all have collected and identified the kind of consumers you have on your app and have in fact come up with services to tailor to these particular consumers. You're saying you offered rentals or these extended periods of cab service for young moms who, perhaps want to run an errand, etc. So I see a lot of reverse engineering where you look at what a driver needs, you look at what a consumer needs, you look at what a class of consumer needs, and then you tailor make your service to suit them the best way.
I think that's called agility.
Right.
And if a startup doesn't have enough agility, there's no reason for us to survive. If we were to just do what incumbents were doing, then what's the difference between us and them? And then why would you use us and not our competitors? It's all about tailoring the solution to your requirement and to every stakeholder's requirement. To the customer, to the driver partner, to the investor, to the team. Everybody has unique requirements and we try to fulfill as much as what we can. And God give us the power to fulfill more requirements of our customers, driver partners, etc. Because these are the two largest stakeholders that we have. Right. So we just simple things like I mentioned. Look after your driver partner. The driver partner looks after your customers. Let me tell you a small little example. So we expect our driver partners to open the door for our customers.
Yes.
I mean, you would have seen often that Driver partners go ahead.
Unless you approach and open it yourself,
Yeah.
they're always there to
They're always there to open. Now, we said that the driver partner is also a very important part of our stakeholder. Why is the hub team not opening the door for the driver partner?
Right.
If you want that they should give respect, they should also receive respect.
Of course, so.
So we asked all our hub team that when the driver partner comes in the morning or in the evening, whenever there's shift time, why don't you, when you are handing over the key, open the door for them? Simple stuff again. That just gives them enough respect. That and it just reminds them again that what I need to do.
Right.
So trying to be more humane,
right.
Trying to be respectful.
Right.
Actually, the driver community is one of the most oppressed communities. You know, they work extremely hard life.
Right.
Extremely hard life. You know, so many things go wrong on the road. There are accidents, there are breakdowns. Some customers are not as good as you. Some are, some might be rowdy. Imagine the number of each driver partner interacts with 15, 20 different people every day and every day of their month.
Right.
So it's a super complex job. You get stuck in traffic jams. There are airport trips. So it's a stress job, which is there. And when these driver partners make decent amount of money with respect, you have got a 10 on 10 from their side. So that's what we just try to do.
Wonderful. So now really coming back to, speaking of ride-hailing service, we can't miss out Uber and the Ola, which have dominated the industry in India and in quite a lot of parts of the world for that matter. You have gone on record to say that the unit economics for Uber and Ola don't make sense. How are you at Blu Smart ensuring that Blu Smart grows profitably?
Sure. So to put it in numbers, we are operationally breaking even as we speak. Blu Smart does not own even a single car.
I see.
So these are very large leasing companies. For example, Sumitomo Mitsubishi, Mahindra Finance, EESL, which is a Government of India enterprise. So a lot of these Lease Plan India, ALD. All of these are leasing out large amount of vehicles to us. So Blu Smart actually does not have any car on its own book.
Right.
What we did was that we said, instead of driver partner financing the car at 18-20% interest, let us take it from leasing companies. Two things happen. One, leasing companies can provide you cars in bulk.
Right.
Here, one driver partner will bring one car. Whereas in leasing, one leasing company is giving us 2,000, 3,000, 1,000 cars which are there. So many fold cars can come in. Two, the cost is much lower. The leasing cost at 18% and the leasing cost at 9% is vastly different. Second, because we are all electric, we save a ton on fuel costs.
Right.
Third, because of being all electric, our maintenance costs are half. On every cost structure, we are lower. Every cost structure. Hence, even at a smaller scale compared to our competitors, we are breaking even, whereas competitors are still bleeding money.
That's true. Blu Smart is not just a ride-hailing service, but is also building EV charging infrastructure. And I've heard Punit, your co-founder, he's gone on record and said that you couldn't have solved the ride-hailing problem without solving the energy problem on the other end of the spectrum. How true is this, sir?
100%. 100% true. There was no Blu Smart if we did not have enough charging infrastructure. Even today, the single largest constraint to growth is charging infrastructure. And what we wish to do is to continuously build them. And for your viewers, we would wish to mention that very soon we are also going to open up our charging infrastructure to the full public. So right now it has a captive charging infrastructure where only Blu Smart cars come and charge. We are going to open it up to everybody.
Interesting.
So your car, anybody else's car, when they wish. In fact, we might do a valet service for you to say, we will pick up your car from your home, charge it and get it back to you.
Oh.
Simple stuff. Because a lot of people are going to find hindrances to charge, especially if they live in apartments. Extremely difficult to charge their cars. Even when they are in bungalows, you never have enough power load, etc., which the government can give to you. So we have created these large, dedicated charging hubs. Today, our charging hubs and Punit just mentioned to me today morning that we have 1 million square feet of charging space with us now.
Right.
And we are charging, we have about 2,800 slow chargers, about 900 fast chargers. And when all of this infrastructure is also opened up to public, you will see that the EV sales in the country actually start to rise. Because people want to buy EVs because they understand the cost structure is very different on the fuel side, but they always feel that there is not enough charging infrastructure which is there. Creating charging infrastructure is a very, very, very important part of our business. We want not just adequate charging infrastructure, we also want charging infrastructure at the right place. There is no fun in having charging infrastructure which is 20 kilometers outside the city.
It's very interesting how, sir, the EV revolution is upon us. It's a reality, and I reckon that in any industry, not just with mobility, so whenever there's a change of technology, there's always new players and opportunity for new players to come in. How true would you say this statement is?
No, absolutely. Our biggest worry is that somebody sitting in your hometown, Indore, or somebody else's hometown is ready to disrupt us. We were ready to disrupt the two large players.
Right.
I'm sure there is a better business model than us which is there, and people are ready to disrupt us too. So I think if you would, I don't know if you have this question, but if you would wish to ask me what is sleepless nights, why will you sleep less at night? It's always thinking about what is that young, brilliant person sitting out of some town in India thinking about how I can disrupt Blu Smart. So that's the single largest thought of worry which we carry, and you know we have to constantly disrupt ourselves, constantly keep our ears, feet on the ground, understand consumers, understand driver partners, so that we can create a business which can scale up, which can last longer.
What I'm presuming also gives you sleepless nights is the incumbent competition from the Goliaths, which is Uber and Ola, how they have announced electrification. How do you view this incumbent competition?
So I think that's the least form of sleepless nights that they cause. See, fundamentally speaking, I would be extremely worried if Uber announced that they will stop cancellations.
Fair.
I will be extremely worried if Uber says our cars will come clean.
Right.
They going electric doesn't mean anything.
Because that is your USP.
Customers don't use Blu Smart because we are all electric. Yes, it adds a factor of environment and people are conscious about it. But if you will poll our 100 customers, only 10 will say that they ride with us because we are electric. But imagine if you were to get an electric car which is dirty, which cancels on you, will you still use an electric car?
Valid. Yeah.
So our competition is not, in fact, the whole world is going to go electric. In 10 years, why Uber and Ola? Every person, you, me, everyone will only have electric cars.
Right.
Was our moat only about electric? No. Our moat was about clean cars on time. If competition adjusts to this, then we'll have to rethink or think more of how we can even elevate the customer service further.
Right.
But till the time competition is still cancelling on you, doing surge pricing, setting dirty cars, it really doesn't make any difference. They can keep spending their time, money and effort in going electric, but actually it's not electric which is going to disrupt us.
Right. And I think what is very interesting is the perception that brings to a consumer. I feel service businesses are foundationed on, the perception that a consumer also builds. For that matter, any brand, it's all about a consumer's perception. Let's take an offshoot example here, but Maruti Suzuki, which started being perceived as a budget car dealer, had to rebrand as Nexa. Why? Because they needed a change of perception. I think with Uber and Ola, what the perception became was driver ride cancel kar dega, ride cancel ho jayega.
Perception nahi, wo reality hai. It's not a perception.
But it's this idea in the mind of everyone. So do you think with this idea in the mind of everybody ki reality ye ho gaya hai ki driver ride cancel kar dega, was a perfect time for Blu Smart to enter the market?
So yes, see, we wouldn't have been, we're all serial entrepreneurs. Punit Goyal is a serial entrepreneur. I'm a serial entrepreneur. We have to pick up opportunities where there is a gap which is there. Now, like we mentioned some time back earlier, that if everything was great, there was no need for us to be in. It was only because things were bad is why we had to step in. Basically, our thought process was very simple, which said driver partners are supremely unhappy. They are leaving these platforms. If you can poll every driver partner on the competitor platforms as भैया आप नई एक गाड़ी डालोगे क्या खरीद के तो आपको ना ही मिलेगा. Customers extremely dissatisfied, cancellations, dirty cars, etc., etc., etc. So the two large stakeholders, customers and drivers, extremely dissatisfied. बीच में platform आता है. Platform is losing crores and crores of money
because of its unit economics.
Losing crores of rupees every year. So even the platform's not making money. But the opportunity is great. You mentioned everybody needs a car twice a day. At least. Minimum. At least. So when the market size is so big and all stakeholders are unhappy, customers, driver partners, and the platforms, that means disruption will surely happen in that sector.
And that's why you figured it.
And that was the ground research that we did when we said we should get into this business. We came into this business with open eyes that we are going to be faced by two large competitors. It was not a hidden fact. It was open eyes. We will be up against the biggest companies in the world. And we accepted that challenge and we said we will go ahead and build a product which is very differentiated on service levels. And that's what we tried to do.
And speaking purely of the range anxiety which is associated with electronic vehicles, the Tigor gives a 200 kilometers, is it? And some of them perhaps even lesser before the technology was this advanced. And, of course, now there are bigger players like Kia and Hyundai, entering, promising a farther range. How do you think this range problem can be solved?
Yeah, no, I think the cars are getting better every day. When we started 2019, 2019 December when we started, the car that we were getting was 14 lakh rupee car. It was a Verito car. If you remember, the Veritos got phased out. So a Verito car which was costing us 14 lakhs and gave us a 105 kilometer range.
I see.
From there to now, in about 3.5 years, we are at a place where it's a 11 lakh rupee car. So the car cost has come from 14 to 11. And the range has gone from 105 to 210. So 30% cost reduction, 100% range increase. Now, are the OEMs, Tata Motors, Kia, Hyundai, Maruti, all of them working on it? They are working on it. But we cannot wait that जब उनका product अच्छा आएगा तब हम गाड़ी चलाएंगे. We started Blu Smart with a 105 kilometer range car. It's the algorithm. It's the algorithm. If it's a 105 kilometer range car, how will I juice it to the maximum? How will I ensure which trips do I do? And by the way, if you will remember, when Blu Smart started, we were only a Gurgaon company. We used to never go even outside Gurgaon. So with the 105 range kilometer car, if I could only service this territory, I will only do that. As the cars are improving, in fact, today we have intercity trips on Blu Smart because electric cars can do 300 kilometer trips.
Right. Okay. And so, which are these cities that y'all are?
Oh, we do Chandigarh, Agra, and Jaipur, which is from the three. Like lot of tourists goes to these three places: Chandigarh, Jaipur, Agra, and all the cities in between. So you could go to Karnal, Panipat, any place, Alwar. So all these places in the middle, but endpoints being Jaipur, Agra, and Chandigarh.
Interesting. So you said how it's not the car, it's the algorithm. We at Runway Miles are very inspired by Tom Cruise's movie which came out last year. It's called Top Gun Maverick. I don't know if you watched it.
Favorite. I've seen it thrice in movie halls and once with Punit. And so yeah, I've seen it thrice in the movie hall. And the first version, Top Gun, the original Top Gun, I think I've seen it maybe 15, 17 times.
Okay. Oh, interesting. So there's a dialogue in the movie where Tom Cruise goes and says, it's not the plane, it's the pilot. I would say it's not the car, not the algorithm, but I believe you and Punit, the guys behind Blu Smart.
No, it's no longer Punit and me, it's the full team. More importantly, the driver partner.
Right.
Yes, you could say that the thought was ours, that we should do it, but I would like to acknowledge the contribution of each of our other founding team members, whether it's Anirudh, who's the chief operating officer who ensures clean car on time, whether it's Rishabh, who's built the algorithm, whether it's Tushar, Tushar brings in a lot of experience on competition. Tushar brings in a lot of experience on business, whether it's our CFO who's leased out these thousands of cars, helped us finance so many charging stations, each and every driver partner, each and every charging executive. I think Blu Smart is a summary of the efforts of all of these. Punit and me would have founded it. That was the easier part of it. The difficult part of it is to do it continuously every day. Founding Ola was easy. Ensuring standards remain the same throughout is the more difficult part.
I just wanted to know, while you were conceptualizing Blu Smart and you were constantly striving to better the service experience, how much did you rely on the successful ride-hailing companies in the other parts of the world? So whether it's a Grab in Southeast Asia, whether it's a Curb in the US, and what are some of the borrowings or inspirations you took?
I think we have, not me, but Punit did a lot of research. I think he's extremely widely traveled. And whether it is the American market or the Mid East market, the European market or the Southeast Asian market, I think we've learned, experimented, test-driven, etc. on all of these. In fact, even today, each of us traveling anywhere in the part of the world are just trying to gain experiences. What are the new features? How are they doing it? What can we learn? So it's a continuous learning process that we have. But I would say that we have always been more focused on solving the customer problem. So while we have had to learn from what other ride-hail companies are doing, but more importantly is keep your customer in the center, be in their shoes, and then take decisions on how you would build the product. And I think that's what 80% of the product comes from customer feedback. 20% of the product comes from what competitors or other companies in the world are doing. So that's what I would say is our journey of building the product.
I see. Another thing, sir, that I wanted to put across is really, we're talking about the world switching from fuel to electric. The world is also at the same time, experiencing something called the Uberization phenomenon, which is that the younger population doesn't want to buy, it wants to rent. It doesn't want to own, it just wants to experience. Do you think with the Uberization phenomenon on the go, ride-hailing is a growing market and will continue to grow?
Yeah, I think, it's so someday I heard a quote which said, Netflix biggest competition is sleep. Netflix is not a competition. Hotstar, etc., is not a competitor to Netflix. Netflix, the biggest competitor is sleep.
Yes.
For us, the biggest competitor is not Ola, Uber, or any other ride-hailing company. Is your personal car.
Correct. Yeah.
So we are targeting of how do we get rid of your personal car.
Right.
Imagine the amount, if nobody had to own a car, the amount of parking spaces that will get freed up, the amount of, by the way, do you know, on an average, a car is just used for 40 minutes by somebody. For 23 hours, 20 minutes, the car is standing idle.
Correct.
So much of money, resources is being put into make that car, but it is standing idle for 95% of the time.
It's a wasteful asset.
It's a wasteful asset. And depreciating. So if the younger lot, which is the more smarter lot, is saying that let's not buy, let's always take ride here, I think that's the way to be. The only caveat being that it should be reliable.
Yes.
If you want to go out, if you booked a car, it should come on time. Right. It should have the same experience like your personal car. If your personal car is not dirty, the ride-hail car should not be dirty. If your personal car costs you a certain amount of money, it is not that because it rained on a ride-hail, you will pay 3 times more. Yeah. So these are some of the things. As we increase the reliability of ride-hail, I'm sure the people will stop buying cars and actually move on to ride-hail platforms. So I think our competitor is your personal car and not the 2 incumbent players.
Right. So with ride-hailing or with personal car ownership, I feel, and with any product line for that matter, there's always a segmentation of the market, right? So that is created because of economic factors, because of the societal factors. We see that, as interns, when we were interns, we would take the metro to office. Our support staff probably takes a bus and then walks and then, takes an auto to the office. Some of the junior associates would probably take an Uber, and because I am a little senior and I want to spend a little more on myself, I take a Blu Smart now. So what do you reckon you want Blu Smart to become synonymous with which segment eventually and down the line?
So as of now, we are only focusing in what we call as the prime segment, which is there.
Right.
We want to, it's a very, very large segment. See, our whole idea, we might someday cater to the mobility needs of everybody.
Right.
But right now, and that's a strategy that we will have to play out, maybe what happens in 5 years, 10 years down the line. But right now, we are extremely focused on four wheels, and in the four wheels also being in the premium part of the market.
So you very recently had a buyback of shares from one of your investors exiting, and you taking up more of your ownership back. How important do you think founders' equity is while scaling, growing a business?
So in most of my earlier businesses, which continue till date, have extremely high ownership, 70-80% kinds. This is the only business where we are less than 50%, and I would try every ounce of resource at my disposal to take our shareholding higher and provide great exits to our investors. In fact, the investors have trusted us. They've placed their money with us. So Mayfield came in actually on day zero. Mayfield was one of the first investors to come into Blu Smart. It's even before that when the app was launched.
Right.
The app was launched on 6th of December. Mayfield came in September.
Okay. And how about British Petroleum?
BP came in much later. BP came in September of 21.
I see.
In September of 21. Till September of 21, we had some traction. Of course, we were massively hit by COVID at that time, and revenues were close to zero. But BP came in much later. Mayfield came in much earlier. So an investor who's been there for 3-4 years, has been a well-wisher of you, has been on the board, has guided us. I think to provide them a fair exit is the duty of every founder. And that's what we just tried to do. And in the interim, it just helps us to increase our shareholding. If I believe that Blu Smart is a great business, and I'm asking other investors to invest, the first right is that every resource at my disposal should also go in there.
Yeah.
If I have the conviction to do that.
Yes.
दूसरे के पैसे पे ग्रो करना है, great, but अगर खुद का भी कुछ पैसा डालो तो it's always better.
More skin in the game.
More skin in the game. I have anyways a lot of skin in the game, but if we can increase it further. Are we going to do multiple buybacks? We are going to do multiple buybacks. I would really wish that at scale, when Blu Smart becomes a very large company, the founders own a very significant share in the business.
Looking forward to the news pieces of buybacks, sir. And now, since we're coming towards an end of our chat, we want to have a discussion about the miles you feel that lie ahead of Blu Smart. How early do you think we'll go from ride later to ride now? And just about your expansion plans.
So on expansion, I think we are going to be present in the two cities, which is Delhi and Bangalore. Delhi and Bangalore can absorb about 100,000 cars. We're just at 5,000. So long way to go. Within these two cities, so miles ahead that we are. So I think we'll just keep doubling in these two cities, which will help our customers also, because then from a scheduled service we'll become an Insta service, which is there. More cars will be available. We'll be able to service all geographies of the city. So I think we are just going to keep doubling down on the Delhi-Bangalore market. And there's no reason for us to move out of these two markets to a third market very soon.
I see. So why Bangalore over Bombay, considering Bombay is the next name that comes after Delhi?
No, Bombay is interesting. We did explore Bombay also, but Bangalore we had certain, the average order value is extremely high.
Okay.
So just to give you a reference, an average trip on Blu Smart in Delhi is 360 rupees. An average trip on Blu Smart in Bangalore is 700 rupees. So double.
Right.
So extremely, see, airport trip in Delhi is 650 rupees. Airport trip in Bangalore is 1400 rupees.
That it is.
So the average order value is much higher. Unit economics is better. The competitor fuel is diesel. In Delhi and Bombay, CNG is the competitor fuel. So in Delhi, if we run our cars at 24 rupees a kilometer, in Bangalore, we are able to run it at 29 rupees a kilometer. So much better unit economics. So putting in factor availability of charging infrastructure, cars, team, customers, unit economics, airport, etc., we finally homed on to the decision of doing Bangalore over Mumbai. But hopefully we should be at Mumbai soon. But let's satisfy the customers of Delhi and Bangalore first.
Awesome. That's lovely to hear, sir. Right, guys. So while we started off with just Anmol on board, we're very happy to also have Punit, who is the co-founder of Blusmart Mobility, on board with us, and he'll be very happy to plug in. Punit, Anmol in our chat mentioned that you've been the guy who's researched the South Asian, the Mid Eastern, for that matter, the American mobility market. What would you think have been some interesting insights from this study, and how would you say these are different from the Indian mobility market?
India is a very different market. US is a very different market. In India, people wanted clean cars. They wanted, better service. This is what we wanted to offer. US is a very different market. We never copied the US market. We always wanted to offer something different. That's what we did with Blu Smart.
So, Punit, just speaking of how about 50% of your customers are women, which is a great number to boast of, how does it feel to be catering to this issue of commute safety for women?
I feel very strongly about, women's safety. I have a 6.5-year-old daughter and a wife. So I'll feel very uncomfortable if they travel on the two incumbents platform, given that safety is not of essence for them. And given that we don't know the background of the driver driving the car, it's just a software intermediary which is plying customers and drivers on the platform. So what we wanted to do at Blu Smart from day one was to build a very safe environment for drivers, for customers, both, and ensure that while customers travel, they feel safer, and it's like traveling in your own car. And so we have tracking devices installed in the car. We have panic buttons installed in the car. So we at any real point of time, we are tracking all the assets.
And what happens once someone pushes the panic button?
So if you press the panic button, then obviously an SOS signal goes to the Blu Smart hub, the Blu Smart command center, and one goes towards to the traffic department and to the local police station. And that's a rule that the Delhi government and the Delhi High Court came out with, that there should be panic buttons. But because of cost issues, the incumbents have not been able to install those panic buttons. But that's a law, and that's by law a ride-hailing platform should have that. So safety is of paramount importance for us on the consumer side, and that leads to the fact that our consumers today, 48-50% are women.
You spoke of how you guys are moving billboards, and you haven't really done a much of a advertising push, and little or no expenditure is done on advertising. But going forward, how much and how do you plan on looking and approaching marketing for Blu Smart?
For us, we're building a very simple and straightforward brand, so we really don't need to go out and shout out loud. What we need to do is focus on delivering good service to consumers, and every consumer that comes on the Blu Smart platform is by positive word of mouth. We have Deepika Padukone, who is an investor in Blu Smart. She invested early. We have some big hitting names who have invested, but we haven't gone to anybody or an existing investor to really market or advertise ourselves. Because I think when you do good things, you don't need to really market or advertise it.
We have now reached our final segment, Punit, where we're going to play a very quick game, which we like to call What Would Blusmart Do? So we're going to throw in some complaints that passengers across platforms have had with ride-hailing platforms and services. And we'd like you to tell us how Blu Smart is already addressing or plans to address these issues. Are you ready?
Yeah, I'm ready, absolutely.
So I think the first complaint has really been about, there are a lot of driver partners who drive 24 hours and won't get the time to go home, take a bath. There's stench in the car, which is a very uncomfortable experience for a consumer, for example. Or there's driver partners who are smoking in the car, etc. How do you counter these issues?
So in our case, drivers don't really work for 24 hours. We believe that humans are not efficient for 24 hours. I'm sure even you would know efficiency of somebody is not beyond 6 to 8 hours or 12 hours max.
I think the second complaint has been about a lot of times there's a misalignment in terms of the driver can be a little rude in terms of, getting to the location or asking the passenger to approach, help them locate where the car is. Could be playing music in the car, which might not be something the customer is comfortable with. How do you look at these issues?
Again, these issues stem with the fact that the driver is at control, right? So if you give infinite control to a driver, he or she, 99.999%, the driver is a he owns that asset, and now he's the owner of that asset. He can do anything. He can misbehave with you as a consumer. He can misbehave with his own asset. Nobody checks. And he's only on those incumbent platforms for time being, right? So there are no checks and balances on the driver's side. And worst case scenario, what will happen? The ride hailing platform, the incumbent two platform, they can simply blacklist the driver and he may not turn up. In our case, the driver is a very disciplined person where he or she knows that they just have to perform their tasks. They're tasked with doing two things right: behave with the consumer well and behave with the asset well. And there are no hanky-panky in these two things. And the driver has to just do these things right. And the result is fantastic. We have now covered 205 million kilometers. We have delivered 6.8 million trips since launch. And with an App Store rating of 4.9 out of 5, there's no platform or no ride-hailing service in the world which has covered a distance of 205 million kilometers, delivered 6.8 million trips with an App Store rating of 4.9 out of 5, with 2 million app downloads, 68,000 app reviews on iOS and Android app stores. It's just amazing customer reviews. But that also means that the drivers have been extremely disciplined, which means that the customers have been extremely happy, which means that the ride quality has been amazing. And the ride partnership between the Blu Smart driver and the Blu Smart platform is the founding tenet on which the entire thing then just happens.
Right. I think one other complaint that the passengers face is really that the drivers don't trust the navigation services that the app offers to them, and often will ask the passenger to tell them where to get to or where the location is. Sometimes it there's areas which have less network, for example. What in that event do you reckon is the best solution from a ride-hailing services end?
I think in our case that really has not happened at large. I mean, the technology is fantastic. The app is really amazing. I don't know if you had the opportunity to use the Blu Smart. If not, you must try it. But we also use great maps. We have the best mapping service in the world, which we all use. Google, which powers our maps. So I think Google is getting better with each passing year, and the maps are getting better. That ensures that the right directions are always given to the driver. In a case where probably his phone has got stuck up, the consumer's phone does come in play, but we haven't had any scenario that Blu Smart has taken somebody in the wrong direction. Also, we are a full stack service. So even if we do it by mistake, an SOS message will immediately go to a driver to come back on track. In the other two incumbent platforms, because they're only merely a software intermediary, once the ride is connected, they really take no responsibility of ride completion. So if you get lost, you're lost. There's no way to come back on track. Because in our case, we are a full stack platform. If anything goes wrong, we immediately correct it, which in layman language means that if a problem is small, we keep it small. We don't allow the problem to really become bigger. And that's because of a full stack approach. So we are at any given point of time, from the time the ride has been allocated to the driver to the time the ride is to be completed, we're tracking each ride at any given point of time all the time. So that really allows us to be on track and deliver really, really high quality experience to the consumer.
Lovely. Thank you so much. It was so lovely to have a chat with you.